This video will walk you through how to complete the leave of absence form. When is a leave of absence form required? The MTRS requires a completed leave of absence form when an employee is on an approved leave and runs out of paid sick time. The employee's pay is either stopped when paid time off has been exhausted or prorated for a period of time to account for unpaid days. The period of time that the pay is prorated may only be while they're on leave, could be prior to and while on leave, or could even possibly be for the whole year. The form should be sent to MTRS as soon as the employee's pay has been impacted. A blank form is located on the MTRS website under Employers, Employer Forms, and Contribution Reporting. So let's take a look at an example. Sally, school teacher, will be on an approved leave for 60 days. Her last day physically working prior to her leave was January 7th of 2022. She has 40 available sick days and 20 unpaid days. She is scheduled to return to work on April 11th of 2022. So let's take a look at the form using these figures. So the first thing you do is enter the employee's name, then the last four of their social. It then asks for the number of work days in the employee's contract for this school year. She's a school teacher. She's required to work 184 days. Field D asks for her last day physically working before leave. We can see here that it's January 7th. It then asks for the last paid work day for the employee. So this would be, in her case, her last paid sick day, which we can see here is March 11th because she had 40 sick days, which took her to March 11th of 2022. Field F asks for the number of paid days for this leave. So she had 40. It then asks for the calendar date range that's covered by those 40 days. So that's January 8th, 2022 to March 11th of 2022. So the date that you enter here, this January 8th, it should always be the next day after the date you've entered in field D. And this date here should actually match the date that you've entered in field E. So this date and this date should be the same. So this is saying that her paid leave began after she physically stopped working and ended on her last paid sick day. It then asks for the expected number of unpaid work days. You are filling out this form when the leave begins, so it is just an expectation of how many unpaid days that they'll have. So she's going to have 20 unpaid days. It then asks for the date range covered by those 20 days. So that's March 12th, 2022 to April 8th, 2022. So there should be no gap from the date listed here and the date listed here. It should always be the next day. So her last paid work day was March 11th, so her unpaid leave begins the very next day on March 12th. Field H asks if this employee will miss at least one entire paycheck. So if your school pays your employees until their paid time runs out and then they will fall off of payroll, you would say yes. It then asks for the first paycheck that they will miss. So if they will miss multiple checks, we still only need the date of the first check missed. So her first check missed will be March 24th, 2022. Field I asks if your employee will have their pay prorated while on leave. Since you actually just stop their pay when they run out of sick time, you would say no. Field J asks for their expected date of return. She is scheduled to return on April 11th, 2022. It then asks for the expected date of their first check after she returns. So her first check upon return will be on April 21st, 2022. You then would indicate what FTE the employee is actually physically working when they come back. So she came back as a full-time employee, so you would enter that here. And then in this box, you can just enter any relevant information that you think the MTRS needs to know about this leave. So I've added a comment saying Sally's pay on 4/21 will be a partial pay and she will return to normal biweekly pay in May of 2022. Enter your name, the date you filled out the form, and your school district. So that's how you'd fill out the form if you pay your employees up through their last sick day and then stop paying them until they return. If you choose to pay your employees the entire time they're out and just lower their pay as a result of the unpaid days, you would fill it out slightly differently. So let's go back to field H. So in your case, you do not have them miss any pay, so you would say no. And then in field I, you would say yes, because you do prorate their pay as a result of the leave. And then you would enter the date of their first prorated check. So Sally notified the school at the very beginning of the year that she was going to take a leave of absence starting in January, hoping to return in April. As a result, the school prorated her pay down from the very first check of the school year. So that's the date you would enter here. So her first check that was prorated is 9/4/2021. Everything else remains the same. The facts are all the same. She had 40 paid days. She had 20 unpaid days. She's expected to return on April 11th. And then again, you can just add any comments that you find helpful or necessary to send to the MTRS. Again, you'd have your name, date you filled out the form, and your school district. So you've completed the form. Now what do you do? First, you'll email the completed form to your assigned MTRS Employer Service Representative. Then you'll log into MyTRS and enter the leave event for the employee in question. There are resources on the MTRS website to walk you through how to enter the leaves. We have written guides and also short video guides.